This video is for Africans living in the diaspora, living in Europe. I want us to listen and listen very good. My name is Becky. I have a bachelor degree in social work, international specialized in international social work. I have a master's degree in social work, specialized in interventions in childhood. I live in Sweden. I'm a Cameroonian. According to the UN statistics, by 2050, majority of the children in the world will be from Africa. And the European social services have come up with a subtle way to destroy these children and destroy our families. All that the pretext of they want to help them. Majority of the children that I have been investigating, the reasons for them being removed from the biological home that was not a reason why you should remove a child. Every child that have passed through in a country like Sweden, their social services, none of them have come out with one piece. So they want to make sure that for them to keep up this white supremacy, looting, exploiting of Africa resources, they have to make sure that since their own population is declining drastically, our children that will be like adults by 2050 will be very weak adults. They will be adults that they don't have the resilience. They cannot talk back. They cannot fight back. So there's an ongoing war against Africans living in Europe. And the people fighting, they're using the European social services to destroy Africans and their families. As I'm speaking to you, in a country like Sweden, 32,500 children have been removed by the Swedish social services. And half of this population is from Africa. They're African children. And these parents are depressed, they're dying. These parents are they're just taking one day at a time to live. We need to come up as a community and fight. We need to come up with a way to dodge these people. I'm telling you this as a social worker. This is an ongoing war to destroy us. We need to come up with a community where we can talk about our challenges, our struggles. It's not easy. I know, but we need to come up with a way. The same complaint from Germany, from Finland, from all these countries. They're removing our children in numbers and they're destroying these children. They're doing it intentionally, just a subtle way to make sure they destroy our children, because we are going to have we are going to be the leading population by 2050. So we'll be having very weak population. Adults who are emotionally weak, psychologically weak, socially weak, adults that cannot even stand up and talk back or fight back. And that is their intention. So take note, I'm telling you this. We need to come up with a very strong community. If you have been a victim of this European social services, please inbox me, because this movement has to be very strong.
Hello, what's up, good people? What's up, brothers and sisters? Welcome back to the channel, and I hope you're doing great from wherever you're watching this video from today. And welcome for another video. Now, with so much happening in the world today and the buzz around you, you'd be excused to miss some of these very, very important things that we should actually, be talking about, especially as Africans and as Black people. Now, in this video today, I want us to shed some light on the amount of racial discrimination or racism that Africans are actually facing or going through or experiencing in Europe currently. Yeah. And with the world becoming much, much more global and people being able to travel far and wide easily, Africans, as hardworking as they are out there just to fend for their families, to try and seek greener pastures or a better life, and they find themselves in Europe, not with bad intentions, not with the worst intentions, but actually with good intentions, just to better their lives and to travel. However, what is coming out clearly is now that Africans are now really facing some severe racial discrimination in Europe, particularly. Yeah, and in most cases, whenever people talk about racism, people tend to automatically think about America and think about American, African American brothers and sisters. But now you see that the same fate that is befalling the African American brothers in the US is also the ones that has befallen Africans in Europe. And this beautiful sister from Cameroon who works and stays in Sweden is trying to shed light into this. And we, all of us, have the duty, it is an obligation, our responsibility to share this kind of information far and wide, to bring this to the awareness of as many Black people and as many Africans in the world as possible. Now, I want us to just continue to listen a little bit to what she has to say, and we'll be back. So check this out.
My name is Becky. I live in Sweden. I'm a social worker. And I want to use this opportunity to beg some of the NGOs working with women in Kenya, Burundi, and other countries in East Africa. Please talk to the young girls there. Talk to the young girls about this interracial marriage. They're getting married to men who are mentally deranged and they're destroying them. These are men with horrible fantasy. I mean, what my sisters are telling me, I don't think any normal man would do that to a woman in the other room. What they're doing even to their own children they're having with our sisters, it's mind-blowing that a father will violate their own child. I mean, you hear stories that you need to go and then take a week off before you come back and continue listening to that story. Please, NGOs around Kenya, working with girl children, the girl child, women, please take this up as a topic. Empower our girls. It must not be a European old man. It must not be a mentally deranged European trashy man with all kinds of horrible fantasy about Black bodies to come there and pick one of our beautiful sisters and start violating. And because they're never going to get justice. They're never going to get justice. The journalists are not willing to write these stories. The social workers are not willing to be part of this shit. They're interested in to remove the children because that's their customer too. Their court is never going to give them justice. The law enforcement officer just know that it's just one of our crazy brother that it is what it is. That's the way our people are. So please, NGOs, especially in Kenya, take this as a topic. Talk to our women. Talk to my beautiful daughters. Talk to my beautiful sisters. To think twice. To look at a lot of issues before they get into interracial marriage with Europeans. It's horrible. The stories are not pleasant at all. My beautiful sisters from East Africa, especially from Kenya and Burundi, this video is for you. I'm on my knees. I'm a social worker. My name is Becky. I live in Sweden. I work a lot with families from Africa. Please, I'm on my knees begging. Most of these European men you are getting married to, they are not normal. They have some mental issue. The way nobody will stand there for you. The abused, they have to tell us every day. It's horrible. You don't need to go through that. That is not a way to escape poverty. That's not the way. That is not a gateway to enrich yourself. Stop it. This mozungu, or you call it what? You're getting married to European men with underlying issues that are beating you. They're destroying your body. They're doing all kinds of horrible things to you that they cannot do it to their white women. No journalist will stand there for you. No law enforcement officer will give you justice. No court will give you justice. No social worker will take sides with you. Instead, they will take advantage of you. They are removing your children. The so-called partner is beating you. They're doing all kinds of things with your body. We need to stop. I mean, we cannot go so low. We need to stop this thing. I mean, the complaints are so enormous. So many complaints. I feel sad what my African sisters are going through in the hands of European men. Kenyan sisters, please, if there's an NGO, try to talk to them. Talk to the young girls in Kenya. Talk to the women in Kenya, in Burundi, that they should be careful. They should be careful getting married to these European men. They call whether it's Muzungu or what. Most often, 80% of the time, it doesn't end up well. And if you see the way they treat our women, oh Lord, you will not believe. It's horrible. It's horrible. The complaints are so many. There are so many. They don't love us. Please, I'm on my knees. There's little we can do. There's little we can do. I cannot count how many of them are in women's shelter, beaten by these men. I cannot count how many of these our mixed children that have been taken, abused, violated, used for all kinds of purposes. They don't even value the children you're having with them. So please, you need to be very careful. If I tell you the number of Africans I mean, children, mothers, fathers that have died either indirectly or directly due to systemic racism, interventions carried out by social workers in Sweden, you weep. I had a very pathetic story that I said, let me share it with you guys. I will just keep some of the information confidential. This family, the guy got married. They met in Sweden. They got married. So before traveling to Sweden, had a child in Africa. So decided to go back and then bring the child. So when the child came, you know how the situation of a blended family was not easy. So they have been, everything was going okay. This the teacher said this child that they brought from Africa said the stepmother at home is maltreating her, beating her, abusing her. So they called the social services. The social services was there back and forward, and then removed this girl from the father's house, and then they still continue harassing this family. So the mother decided that I would take the remaining children, since the social is threatening that they will remove every child, and these are my children. This is what I live for. This is all I have. I cannot continue. They have removed my stepchild, and they can come and remove my biological children. So she took the children and went back to Africa. Due to stress and other related condition, she fell very ill and died. And these children are still in Africa. I mean, this woman's death could have been avoided. I've seen so many of our African women today. They are locked up in the psychiatry ward because they removed their children. They are breaking down. And Sweden is a very racist country. Even if you go and tell your psychologist that my problem why I'm breaking down is because they have removed my child. I love my children. I've asked them where are my children. I've not seen my children. What they'll do is they'll give you what they know how to do, their antidepressant cocktail. They know how to pop pills. Even newborn babies in Sweden are taking antidepressants. We know of the guy that want to escape. A mom who died. Some of these men have abandoned children. I know an African family, a man that has abandoned 3 children with the social and started a new family in the UK. The pain. I mean, what this Swedish system was just enslaving Africans. It was just selling, kidnapping, trafficking, caging Africans and using them for money. But even the worst part is these same people would turn to Africa and tell you that, you know, we are humanitarians. During the Second World War, we were not part of it. We focus on our domestic issue, though 90% of the weapon came from them. They well know us as neutral people who even share Nobel Prize with zero nobility in them. If I tell you the number of children in the graves from Africa that are lying in their graves in Sweden, you will not believe. If you like, if you're living in Stockholm, just tomorrow you can drive to St. Budvit's begravningsplats in Holdinge. For certain reasons, they share the graveyard. So this is a Muslim area. This is a Swedish area. Just look at the dates of those children. Born 2004, born 1996, born 1998. I used to go there and cry. They will even put a caption of a gun. He was shot by gang members. These children all have passed through the foster care statistics. These children. So why is this intervention still going on? When it's leading to negative outcome, why are you still carrying out this type of intervention that everybody is stressed up, the families are worried, everybody's worried, the child is not in good condition? Why are you still carrying out interventions that is leading to negative outcomes? Because it's all about your pocket. You, the social worker, is a multi-billion-dollar industry. You're all about enriching yourself at the pain of Africans. So African people living in Sweden, you have to join the WhatsApp group. Like I said, we need to come together and develop a strategy. You see, Asians, they're not in the statistics. Among the 32,500 children, Asians are not there. There are very limited amount of Asians there. You saw what Madame Tataji did to Norway. Norway is in Netflix. You saw what the Indian lady did to Norway, the Norwegian government. At the end, even when she tried to escape with her children to Sweden, Sweden took that woman back to Norway. At the end, Norway was begging, wanted to give that woman some money to close the matter. The woman said, no, the film is in Netflix. Go and watch it. The Indian woman. We have to stand up. We need to stand up as African women and fight back.
I've lived in 5 different countries in Africa. I've lived in Malawi, Botswana, Zambia, Morocco, and Nigeria. I have also travelled extensively in South Africa, Zimbabwe, Namibia, and Egypt. Never once in all my years of living or travelling on the African continent have I been mistreated in any way because of my ethnicity, because of my skin colour. And this is in spite of the fact that I come from a country who are guilty for some of the worst colonial crimes ever inflicted throughout human history. That's right, I was born in Great Britain. And without doubt, the British and the French committed the greatest atrocities across the continent of Africa. The Belgians have a good claim for the greatest atrocity in their treatment of the Congolese, but if one looks at it as an entity and the number of countries that were invaded by the British and French colonialists, one will see that they are the worst protagonists. Despite this, and despite the behavior of my ancestors, I have never been mistreated. In fact, I have been welcomed warmly in all of the countries I have lived in or visited. And when in Africa, I don't cocoon myself in some enclave dome which is inhabited by people who like to refer to themselves as expats. I hate that term. But no, I integrate as much as possible within local society. I will go to a shebeen. I will go to any compound and experience life as it is for people in the country where I am based. So whether that's in the village, whether it's in the township, whether it's in the local bar, I will integrate, I will mix, and I am always made welcome. Now contrast that with the way many Africans are treated when they choose to live in the United Kingdom or France or other parts of Europe. The difference is incredible. The everyday racism experienced by African people on the European continent is a crime against humanity. Now, there are different types of racism. The most obvious is the day-to-day experience that an African will have whilst living in parts of Europe. The name calling, the staring, the subtle discrimination. And for many Africans, they will just brush it off because it is so common that they just get used to it, sadly. Worse, though, is the institutional and structural racism that Africans have to abide with. The restrictions on their movements, the fact that most passports emulating from the African continent will only allow Africans to travel visa-free to a handful of countries. And most of those will be other African countries or countries in the Caribbean. And moreover, the difficulty that Africans have finding work in Europe is unimaginable. People who are qualified as doctors, accountants, lawyers, university lecturers, nurses, teachers do not have their qualifications and experiences recognized by most European countries. I know many people from Africa working in various parts of Europe as security guards or as care assistants when back home they had highly skilled professional jobs. But that experience is rarely recognized when they come to Europe unless they come as part of a transfer with an existing company. But if they come because they've migrated to Europe, their chances of accessing the sort of job which they are eminently capable of is slim. Now, if a black person was making this video they would be quickly dismissed. They'd be dismissed as having an axe to grind or always trying to find problems. And again, that's part of racism. The fact that I can speak because of my white privilege means that I have a duty to do so, not because I'm married to an African woman or because I have many African friends, but because I like to think I'm a decent human being who appreciates the value in every person on our planet.
Yeah, so sad and so heartbreaking. I just hope that such kind of people, such kind of brave brothers and sisters will come out to shed light on what is particularly happening to us, to Black people, to Africans, you know, and bravely. And maybe if we do this, we as Africans could change our minds and start thinking of a way out, a way around this problem. We don't have to go to Europe, but we can take control of our own continent and make it better. In fact, we have all the prospects in terms of natural resources, human resource for Africa to become the best continent on earth. But until we first take full control of our continent, until we have leadership and governance that can see, you know, the what is happening in the world today from the perspective through which most of us can be able to see it now from this, then you know. So I just wanted us to dive into some very, very basic statistics on what is happening to people, to Black people in the so-called EU, European Union. So key findings from Being Black in EU survey of 2022, and it was published in 2023. So about over 1 year ago. So prevalence of racial discrimination. So approximately 45% of respondents of African descent, people of African descent, not necessarily people that are Africans. We even have people that have had some generations in Europe, but still of African descent. They say they have experienced racial discrimination in the 5 years prior to this survey. And then about 34% had actually experienced racial discrimination in the last 24 months before or leading to this survey. So by country, in Germany, Austria, and Finland, discrimination rates are especially high. For example, in Germany and Austria, around 64%. 64%, get that right, said they had experienced discrimination in 24 months before the survey had been carried out. Remember, this survey was carried out in 2022 and it was published in 2023. So over a 5-year span, Germany had about, listen to the numbers, 76% of respondents saying they experienced discrimination. Austria was simply the highest at over 70. I think it was 72% in Austria. So at the lower end are countries like Poland and Portugal, which are reported, where reported rates are significantly lower, not low, just lower compared to places like Austria, Germany, and Finland. So racist harassment or the racist violence especially, so approximately 30% of people reported experiencing racist harassment in 5 years leading to the survey, and racist attacks, that's now violence, are less common but still present, about over 5% in the 5-year time frame. So it's not just about words and microaggressions, but there is also physical assault and violence. So racial profiling by police or law enforcement. So of those respondents who had been stopped by police, about 58% said their most recent stop was because of racial profiling. And then when we go to employment and housing, discrimination when looking for work, roughly 34% of respondents felt they were being discriminated against when applying for jobs within the 5 years leading to this survey, 34% of them. And discrimination at work, now once employed, so about 31% of them had reported, this kind of racial discrimination in the 5 year span leading to the survey. And then housing, 31% say they were racially discriminated against when they were trying to find accommodation. Yeah, basically housing. And then economic vulnerability or poverty. So about 33% of the respondents had difficulty making ends meet, significantly higher than for the general populations. And most of the majority population in Europe is obviously white. And 14% couldn't afford to keep their houses or their places of accommodation warm, compared to only about 7%. That's half. So for people of color, for black people, this is about black people actually, not just people of color. 14% could not even afford to keep their houses warm, and that Europe is a cold desert. 14% could not keep their houses warm, compared to the general population of white people, which only 7% were reported to not being able to do the same. Now, let's go to education. Young people of African descent are about 3 times more likely to leave school early compared to young people in the general white population. See, what that always points out is there is a reason for these people to opt out of school early. There are circumstances which make black people, feel like they cannot continue with this anymore. So more parents reporting their children experiencing racism at school, more so in 2022, was very prevalent than in 2016 and before. Okay, so reporting these incidences. So very few incidences are reported. Only 9% of those who experience discrimination reported it to a formal body like the police and relevant authorities. So this also goes ahead to even tell you that even in this study, with these absurd high numbers we're talking about, this is not even the actual picture. There's a lot more people who have not, are just under the waters because they can't even talk, they can't even report. Their data is not even anywhere for us to interact with. So even fewer of those who experience harassment or violence reported those incidences. Okay, so other related findings and observations: a UN-backed mission in Italy found evidence of racial biases among law enforcement. Identity checks and stop and search practices frequently targeted Africans or people presumed to be, foreign due to the color of their skin. So a report by the European Network Against Racism highlights persistent socioeconomic disparities for people of African origin. That is, for example, much higher poverty rates in France among people of African origin. France has a big black population. So it's actually reported that there's a big disparity when you try to compare them to wealth accumulation from the other side of the divide, which is by the white people. Yeah. So I hope most and many of us Africans, especially those in the diaspora in Europe, particularly, can come out to share their experiences, to share what is happening, to shed light on this particular issue, because this is another unfolding tragedy that people are not actually, the world is not even paying attention to. There was a recent story that had made headlines in Kenya of a lady who fell in love with a Russian guy, and the Russian guy had come to Kenya, and then they stayed in the country for some time. They even had a baby, and finally they decided it was time to go to Russia as well to see the other side of the family, the paternal side of the family. But when they got there, all hell broke loose, and the husband just turned against the Kenyan lady, beat her up, unfortunately, so bad they chased her out into the cold Russia winter. And she was lucky to find her way back to the country, to Kenya. Remember, this was a person you thought you were in love with, was welcomed to this country. Sometimes they even come to Africa without visas, and they get visa on arrival, and nobody ever provokes or will do anything to them. They even get love. They are loved. They are welcome. They stay at home. They enjoy our endless sunshines and peace and food and everything. But when it's time to reciprocate, so the lady is still crying for relevant authorities to even just assist her have access of their kid. So unfortunate. And that is just one case. There are so many cases of this kind, and I just hope most of us will come out as Black people, regardless of whether you're African Americans, Black in the Caribbeans or in South America, or even in Asia or in the Middle East, and we can begin to speak. Remember, I always say, nobody loves Black people than they can love themselves. So until we learn to love ourselves as Black people, we will always get this kind of treatment. Let's love ourselves, and let's try to get our things in order, and let's stand together. Let's fight for each other. Let's fight together. And one of the ways to fight, to shed light through such events. So yeah, we've come to the end of this video. Credit goes to this sister that we've just enjoyed her clips, learned from her clips as well. And if you have something to add to this, please do share with me your opinions as usual in the comment section below. If you like this video and this kind of content we do, then give this video a thumbs up. Please share this video far and wide to create awareness. And if you're new to the channel as well, always would say welcome home and welcome to the channel. The best and the biggest way you can support this channel is by subscribing to the channel to become a part of us. You can also buy me a coffee or join the membership. So until next time, I'll see you in the next video. Peace out and be safe.